Hello, I'm here to talk about how to make a metal costume. All the basics of welding and cutting metal. Let's get started. I usually start with my metal. I got my metal in a Home Depot or any kind of home shops that you can find. And they're quite cheap. This is an air duct metal, which is very flat. It's great for templating. This metal cost me around $7 to $8 in my local store, which is a good deal if you're buying metal. And it is very great metal for welding. And it's not that heavy as a metal. It's not steel, but it's not as light as an aluminum too. But aluminum is not that great for welding. Aluminum, when you try welding it the way I weld my stuff, it doesn't stay on metal. But this does. This really does. The first thing to do in metal costume is templating. I'm wishing to make this little ab part of this costume, which has 3 metal cells. 3 metals. It has 3 metal cells, and I want to make each one of them. First, you can use any patterning templating that you've been used to and make a pattern. So I have my own sketch pad here where I visually try to sketch all each different parts. It's just a big giant paper that I've been using, and I've come up with a template. This is my template. See over here in this side here. For that, I need to transfer this to a see-through material so I can template it to my metal. To be able to do that, I actually bought this. This is my laminating laminating papers, which you use to laminate paper. But it's also great as it's a see-through paper sheet. Each paper actually comes in 2 see-through sheets, which you can unfold and take out, so you can do it twice. And then you just template it. Copy your template to an empty piece of see-through paper and cut it around. So this is the result of my templating. I have drawn around my paper and I have cut the outer edges. I also draw in all of the lines where I have to make creases of my template, of the metal. And I also draw where the metal should be bending, where I should cut the metal on the sides. I use green tape to stick it up to the sides, like so. And then I traced around it using my white Sharpie, a white marker. It's not Sharpie. I trace around this thing, try to get the shape. There we go. And then what about the template inside? I would have to do is to lift upside up and just dot what's inside, see the template, and then draw a line. It's predictive. This doesn't. Once we have that, we can take that off and we can link all of this together. Just use your eyes. There's no other way around it, unless you do it somewhere fancy, like etching it over through the plastic, which is a good idea, but I haven't tried that. There we go. You get a template. And then the next thing to do is to cut the template out. I would prefer that you use gloves, because metal can get sharp when you cut it. And I would prefer the first time you cut it into chunk-sized pieces before you cut the perimeter. So it's like so. Cut it into chunks first. It's not folded right yet, and then you cut it because if you don't cut it this way into chunks, then you can't be really exact to the template on the metal. Like so. There you go. And then once you're done, you can't just toss this around the floor. Your hands, your feet, this thing will really wound up your feet if you step on it. So I have a dedicated box there for all my metal scraps. Over here, this way. I'll sit there. So that it's safe from your feet, it's safe from your hands, and you won't be able to get as much cuts as you would like. Okay, here in the bender part, you have to bend all the edges by using a chisel clamped on a clamp. So to do this, you need to first of all straighten out all the mistakes that you're making. And then on the edges, you just hammer on the edges, all the sides. That's one side down. Once you have bended it more than 90 degrees, it just has to be more than 90 degrees, you can place it on a flat surface and then you hammer it in. There we go. That's how you get a bended curve. That's much more less sharp than when it was first cut, and that won't hurt your skin as much. So you have to do that for all of the things, all the metal things that you have in your costume, and just make sure that the ones that you don't do this is covered underneath or covered on top of multiple cloth or foam. There it is. All of the edges are now bent, making everything much more safe. Well, safe for when you're wearing the costume, not safe right now. So on to the next step. The next step is bending the sides to make the shape of your metal. So it bends over the side. Just follow the bend lines that you templated earlier. There we go. And then bend the sides a bit. The sharp sides in. Just a little bit so that you can bend the next part here out here, towards it. Not a lot to know about in this part, but now once you bend it both sides to the angle that you like, you can clamp on to on the edges of it. There we go. Make sure you clamp it really tight, or bend it really tight here, because you don't want it to seam. Later we'll weld it and then we'll sand it so that it look like one piece metal. You do it to the next one. And it looks like my battery of my camera is running low. I'll just let it die. Hopefully it doesn't delete this recording. I don't know how to record all of this again. To solder, I have a neat trick that I think that I haven't seen anywhere else. Well, actually no, it's seen it everywhere else, but not. It's been done for costume before. Is to use a soldering iron like this. But this is not normal soldering iron. This is a high temperature soldering iron, and I think I'll link it to in the description.
on where you can find this or what types are good. There we go. All of them. And then the first thing to do is to get a brush and get some what's this again? Get some flux and put some flux on the desired spot. Only the spot that you want metal to be in. So like metal would be magneted to this spot only because of the flux. It's amazing. Now the reason I don't use this, I don't use propane or fire to weld metal together is because you can't control fire. You can't control where the metal is going. But this you can sculpt and lead the metal wherever you want to go, want it to go, making it much more controlled and you want. You can shape the metal the way you want it. So, get some solder and get some weld and solder it in. I dropped it. You see this? Solder it in, and it will be magneted. It's actually a bad idea to put this foam underneath here because it will get like junk black glue on your metal, but I keep forgetting. Okay, now this part is solder, and this is very strong solder now. It won't come off, and I have to do this for each part here, and also solder the outside parts too, and then put a little bit more solder in the outside so that we can sand most of it later. All the sides have welds. Now it's really strong. You can leave it like this, but we want it to be smooth on the edges. You don't want to see that like sharp edge here that could possibly cut people. Now on the sand grinder, we need to use earmuffs because it gets really loud and, well, it hurts your ears. Found it out the hard way before I bought this. Or you can use your headphones or any normal noise cancelling device. Put it around your ears and start grinding. There we go. It looks smooth, but I'm not a perfectionist, so I am okay with this. Went really well, right? Some sharp things here and there, but nothing like a little clipping won't fix. So if you finish this, then you finish the part.
And voila! I have made this. I added some metal pieces on the side here, which I also curved and welded into the metal, and I spray painted it gold to make it look like one of those armor things that you put in your in the abs. The only problem is metal. When you paint metal, and if it ever gets scratched or scuffed up, it's much more noticeable than painting foam or Warbler, because of its hardness. It's very very noticeable if you scratch it. And making 4 of them, like so. all 4 pieces of the abs made. And because I was not very good at most of them, it's a learning process. Each one looks different, and it's all hand drawn. So metal work is not an exact art. Well, depends on your skill. So, if you've done that, then you could make something like this. Full metal arm bodysuit. This took a couple of weeks to make. Well, a couple of weeks in total. It took about like a month, around a month, to because I was lazy on some days. But everything here is gonna be shown to you on my next upcoming video, and it's all rotating and fixating. Still working on some kinks. Seems to be moving. Okay. Doesn't matter. And I'll be showing how to make all of this in my next video. So tune in and hope you enjoy. See you later.